I tell you one thing about negotiation. Negotiation can allow you to have pretty much anything you want and really help you to get it at prices that a lot of people just wouldn't even think were possible. This house that I live in right now, we remodeled this right as the pandemic started. We moved into it and we were able to knock almost $1 million off of the purchase price just from negotiating. Then we were able to get a contractor to come in and do this at about 20% less than they normally charged at a time when everybody was trying to get contractors to do things and prices were going through the roof. And then on the financing on it, I asked the guy, I said, what if you finance the whole thing? I couldn't get him to do that, but I did get him to give us a $2 million loan for 10 years, only interest. So we don't even have to pay the thing off 10 years. So we're living in this crazy house for only a few $1,000s a month just because of negotiating. That's what it can do for you. And I'm going to share some secrets about negotiating that I think can help you do things like this too. Okay, so let's talk about 7 different secrets that will help you with any negotiation. Now, I say here business transactions, but the truth is you can apply this to anything in your life to make your deals better. Okay, number 1, collaborate. Napoleon Hill said you can succeed best and quickest by helping others to succeed. That's so true. It's really cool. You actually can have win-win deals. Now, here's how you do that, right? Negotiation sounds like there's a winner and a loser. I'm going to negotiate with you. We're on opposite sides of the table. What I hear that side of the table saying is this. Instead of that, what if you were to collaborate? When I do a deal with somebody, I think about we're collaborating towards the outcome that's going to help both of us get what we want, and that's absolutely possible. So even as to the table positioning, I'll drag the chair over onto their side of the table and sit down with them so that they can see that we're literally on the same side of the table collaborating. Collaborate, don't negotiate. That is secret number 1. Okay, secret number 2. This is a law.
It's the law!
It's not actually a law, right? But I tell you what, that's actually an interesting thing about negotiation is if you say something's a law or these are our standard terms, then people tend to not push back against it because you don't want to push back against a law, and standard terms are what everybody's already agreed to. So that's kind of a little sub bonus there. But this is the law of price and terms, okay? What that says is that if I'm going to give you your price, then it's going to be my terms, right? And if I'm going to get my terms, then it's going to be your price. So whenever you're negotiating, you can acquire almost anything if the terms are right. Just remember that. That's a big thing. You want to acquire a thing that somebody says is, let's say you think it's worth $100,000 and they want $1 million for it. Could you ever pay $1 million for something that's only worth $100,000? Well, what if you said, tell you what, that's cool. I agree to your $1 million, but the law of price and terms says your price, 1 million, my terms, I'll give you $1 a year for 1 million years. Now, obviously, nobody's going to do a deal like that, but it gives you an idea that you could actually do that. You could pay $1 million for something if you had long enough to pay for it so that it would ROI. So think about the law of price and terms, and then many, many more deals become possible. Okay, secret number 3 is beware of fair. You can remember that because it rhymes, right?
Nice. Rhymes.
Fair market value, that is subjective. Just take a look at the market cap valuation of a company like Apple. One day, Apple's worth $1 trillion. Literally the second day, the next day, it might be worth only 900 billion. That's $100 billion in a day. Does it mean that Apple was actually worth $100 billion less one day later? Heck no, absolutely not. It's what the market says it's worth, right? So fair market value is not actually fair, right? Fair has nothing to do with it. And when you're getting in a negotiation and somebody says, hey man, you need to just pay your fair share, or I just want a fair price for this, don't fall for it. Because fair is completely subjective. It depends on what do people need or want at any given point in time. So just remember that you got to beware of fair. Don't let that impact what you're willing to do, and don't let that impact the offer you're willing to make, because fair is what people will agree to. And we'll talk about fairness zone as kind of a corollary to this in the next secret. Okay, the 4th secret, which kind of goes with the 3rd, is the fairness zone. So fairness isn't an attitude. It's a professional skill that has to be developed and exercised. I think that's kind of interesting, right? Here's the fairness zone. Within any given deal that you do, there will be some point, and this is subjective to you. This is just an overlay that I've found to be very helpful to being sure that everybody's actually happy with the deal and that I'm building good karma generally. So in any transaction that you're going to do, there's a point where the deal is too much in your favor. You shouldn't go past that point. There's also a point where the deal is not enough in your favor, and you shouldn't go past that point. So whenever you're negotiating, try to think about what are the end points of fairness in the deal based on thinking about you and the seller and the deal, okay? So let's look at an example for this. So just a simple example. I was looking to buy a camera lens for my son, and I went on eBay and I made an offer for the camera lens, and it was a low offer, and but it was within the realm of fairness because I had seen camera lenses selling for that. The seller came back and said, okay, I'll do it, but it really sucks because I wanted to get this much for it and I need it for this, this, and this. Well, so for him, my offer was outside of the fairness zone because he wasn't going to be happy with it. Even though you might argue that it was within market value, it wasn't a deal that he thought was fair. I don't think you should ever make a deal with somebody where you don't think you're being fair to them or they feel right off the bat it's an unfair deal. Why? Because they'll find reasons to blow it up, or they'll give you negative reviews, or they'll just hate you generally, or they'll tell somebody that you might be wanting to do a deal with 3 years from now. Oh, I know that guy. He's not fair. He took advantage of me. Now, did you actually do it? No. But if you don't get yourselves on the same page within the fairness zone, you'll create bad karma, bad reputation, and really that makes for a bad deal. So never allow somebody to do a deal that they feel is unfair, and don't you go taking advantage of people by doing a deal that you think is unfair to them. Okay, secret 5 for negotiating is to pay present value for the deal. This is probably the biggest mistake that I see people make. Like when you get into what we call the heat of the deal, right? You're like, I want this to work out. I want to succeed. I can taste it. I almost have this deal done. And then the price is just a little bit too high. And the truth is it's not worth what the seller's asking for right now. So what the seller says when you say, man, I don't see how I can do that because you're asking more than it's worth, is the seller says, yeah, but look, when you do all the stuff to it that you're going to do, it's going to be worth so much more than I'm asking. And that is a big trap that a lot of people fall into. Don't you do it.
That only happens in movies.
Don't you ever pay more than the current fair market value, present value today for a deal. That is your money that the seller's trying to take from you. The seller's trying to steal from you the value that you're going to add through your work. That's not fair. Don't let them do it. Don't let them get away with it. Only pay what the deal is worth today. Never, ever, ever go above that and pay your share of what you're going to get from building the value in the deal. That's a really important thing. Okay, so now we're up to 6, right? Secret number 6 is pace yourself. Pace yourself. Now, Dolph DeRue's smart real estate guy, he's very lucky because for him, the deal of a lifetime comes around once a week. Don't buy unless the numbers are absolutely right, he says. Well, so I've always said to me, and I really do believe this, that the deal of a lifetime comes around 3 or 4 times a year. I find that about once a quarter, there's a deal that comes across my desk that is just so amazing that I can't even believe it. And that deal is the deal you want to do. Now, here's the problem. If you didn't pace yourself, then you've done a ton of deals and you've got too much on your plate. So you don't have the bandwidth to do the really amazing deal that you want to do. Or maybe you're putting cash in deals. I don't like putting cash in deals. I typically don't. But if I invested in every deal that came my way, I'd have no cash to do deals. Also, if I'm in the deal, I need to pace myself, and you do too, because here's a trick from lawyers. I'm a recovering attorney, right? You know what we used to do when we're taking a deposition of somebody? We create the rhythm and the pace in the deposition, and they would tell us all kinds of things that they didn't want to tell us. You can find that you're in that spot in a deal when somebody makes the deal go faster than you want it to go because they're controlling the deal cadence. It's important for you to pace yourself so that you can create the pace for the deal. Okay, secret 7, we're on 7 now, right? So what we're going to talk about is keep it walls down. what the heck does that even mean? Well, here's the thing. When you go into a negotiation, when you're actually in a deal, walls go up and people stop being collaborative and cooperative, and they maybe get positions that they get stuck in. What you want to do is keep everything walls down. And that's why I say collaborate. And Chris Voss did a great job of talking about this in his book, Never Split the Difference. What he says is get them to start with no. Because when they say no, they're not worried anymore about you getting them into a cadence of saying yes, yes, yes.
Yes! Yes! Yes!
Everybody says, get them to yes and have them say yes 5 times and all this other crap that truly doesn't work. I'll tell you what does work. And Chris has a great saying. And the first time that I met him, he said to me, so Roland, would it be ridiculous to think that we could do a deal together? And I said, well, yes, Chris, because I knew that he wanted me to say no, and it pissed him off. No, but anyway, the would it be ridiculous is a great thing to say, because when somebody says no, then they're not afraid anymore that you're going to trick them into saying yes to some key negotiating point. So keep it walls down means start with allowing them the room to be able to say no. Let them say no, they'll get more comfortable, and that will then lead more likely to a yes. Walls down. Another good example is when I'm doing a deal to buy a business. Most people will start by saying, I need financial statements and tax returns and all this other information. Well, I don't do that. I just say, hey, let's have a conversation. And I've got a little checklist of the numbers I need and the things like that. Man, I get people to give me more information that would be normally part of an NDA, a non-disclosure agreement, by doing that and having it conversational than saying, I need financial statements, this. Otherwise, their walls go up and the conversation and the entire negotiation changes to one of adversarialness instead of cooperation. Keep the walls down. So I've been talking about the 7 secrets of negotiating. I said business deals, but the truth is it applies to anything. And one of the cool things that I do is I cover that in a whole lot more detail in my book, which is Zero Down. It's how to acquire businesses with no money out of pocket. And it's really cool when you get into a room and you are collaborating, as I say, instead of negotiating, but you're collaborating to get a deal done. And the magic happens and somebody transfers their business to you. And you now own 100%, 80%, 60%, even 30% of somebody else's business that you didn't build and you didn't pay anything for it. I just got a video from one of the guys, Eric, who is in a training program that I do. And Eric said, I could see on his face the feeling that I had the first time that somebody signed a real estate deed over to me and I didn't give him anything for it. It's like, oh my God, I can't believe I've done this. Right? He was like, I actually did have to come out of pocket because I went and bought myself a bottle of champagne so that I could celebrate doing this deal. I want you guys drinking the champagne and clinking glasses with me. Get my book, learn how to do this stuff, and let's do that. Hey, thanks for watching the video. I'm just grateful that you took your time and you invested it to let me share some of my experience with you. If you like this stuff, I got a whole bunch of it. I've got video on really cool things that I've learned over a long time doing deals and being in business. And I've had a reasonable amount of success at it. I want you to too. So just subscribe to this channel so that you don't miss anything, because I'm releasing cool stuff all the time. You know, one advantage to doing things the way I do is I live this every single day. This isn't stuff I did 20 years ago and now I'm just retired and teaching. I'm sharing with you stuff that I'm taking away from deals every single day.